So I'm here in Bristol outside Elevator Sound, and this is the first of a series of pieces that we're going to do. I haven't figured out what it's going to be called, but it's really focusing on the independent music shops, the ones that kind of supply the synths and the modular where you can get your hands on. And Elevator Sound is in Bristol, and it's the first of those. So let's go and take a look. This is Ben. How are you, Ben?
Good morning. Yeah, good. Colder than I expected to be this morning, but
it is a bit chilly, isn't it? Let's go
in. Let's have a little look. Yeah, quickly lock up.
Wow.
There we go.
Oh, nice. It's interesting. I mean, a lot of Elevator Sound in Bristol has got quite a reputation, and like a lot of places with a big reputation, the square footage is smaller than the reputation. This is kind of compact.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tighter shop. We've got a little like 3D tour on the website, and often when people come in, it's way smaller than they expect it to be, which is nice. I like it being a little kind of hidden secret, hidden gem sort of
Absolutely.
store.
So tell me a little bit, how long has it been going?
So we've been here 8 years this year. Started in 2014. So this room that we're standing in at the moment used to be Idle Hands, the record shop. Big shout out to Chris and all of that lot. And they basically gave us the back room to start this odd, crazy little project of trying to make a hardware synth shop work in the 21st century. They moved out in 2016, so we then took over the rest of the building, and we share it with a few other companies now. And yeah, it's been going pretty well.
So what was, I mean, obviously back in 2014,
yeah,
the modular wave was kind of rising, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what was it just that kind of made you want to start the store? I mean, I know you weren't the founder, but you were here at month one, right?
Yeah. So I think we didn't get into modular straight away. It took us a couple of years to kind of pick that up. But initially, it was just there was no real place that you could go and try out gear, apart from, you know, there was the usual kind of guitar shops that maybe had a few synths in the back, but it wasn't somewhere where you could get kind of proper advice and proper knowledge, and somewhere that you can go and actually listen to things in person. And that was, I think, like a lot of the reason that we started was just to kind of give people that space, and also space to just come and try it out and have a go. Oh
man, it sort of reminds me a little bit of the kind of the notion of skate shops, where people just go and hang out, and kind of it's a sort of it's a community hub as well as anything, right?
Yeah, we get a lot of that. We get through a lot of coffee here and spend a lot of days kind of chatting and musing over various topics and ideas with, yeah, we've got plenty of regular customers now, which is really nice, and loads of them will just pop in. They might not even like play on anything, they'll just come in for a chat, which is really nice.
So take me through. So we've got a lot of modular on this side. It's nice to see Bristol fully represented here.
Of course.
Super 6.
Yep, Super 6 flagship synth right at the door. We had to, of course, like George and that lot have been great.
Oh, we haven't got a direct feed, but we can certainly hear it.
It's sounding very good. And then, yeah, we've got the 3 big modular racks. So these have been fixed in place since I think about 2018. So Kurt, the guy who did all of our welding, built these cages. Aidan, who runs Damaru Cases, built the wooden cases, and then he's also done some of the sequencer cases down the bottom. Setup wise, it's actually kind of fairly structured. So in the middle case is most of the like synthesis stuff, so oscillators, filters, VCAs, and modulation, and then utilities down the bottom. We found that like quite often when people wanted to come in and try things, if they were looking to say buy a new oscillator, it wouldn't make sense to have them all in different parts of the case, just put them all in the same row. The right hand case, top 2 rows are drums. We've then got some samplers and granular processors, some mixing, and then a bunch of effects down the bottom. And then these 3 cases down the front are all just different sequencer types, which are relevant to the cases that they're below.
So I noticed you're not using the Bafacos on here, but you must have to change these a lot, but I guess in a shop you don't really want them easily removed.
No, so I mean we go through maybe every few months or so, we'll do like a bit of a rejig of the system, and we'll look at, you know, we usually put something up on Instagram and ask what people want to see. We maybe look at kind of gaps where we've, say, sold like a few things. So the noise plethora went out because we realised that in the percussion case, we didn't have any noise sources, and that thing's kind of the granddaddy of noise sources, so that one went straight out. This is actually the remnants of our radio show patch from Friday night. So Hamish and I do a radio show on 1020, which is the studio that's in the back of the shop, once a month. Second Friday of every month, little plug.
Oh right, and you do a live modular stream.
Yeah, so it's all improv, 2 hours of live modular. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not great, but that's half the fun.
That's in true EMOM style. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then so this is the kind of remnants of that patch, and then often, because it's on a Friday night, we'll leave it in, because on Saturdays we get loads of tourists coming past, we get loads of kids coming in. Obviously it looks fascinating for kind of people of all ages, for people who remember switchboards, for people who just like big flashy lights, and for kind of anyone who's interested in music, which we get a lot of people visiting Bristol for. So we'd like to have a little bit of a patch set up so people can just start kind of jamming on it straight away.
Oh, that's great. So, I mean, do you kind of have a patch reset sort of daily? Because obviously somebody walks in, they're not going to, like this one, won't be making any noise because it's got no patches in. Do you kind of set something up so that people can immediately press a key and go, ooh?
It depends. So usually I found that I think naturally people kind of tend to gravitate towards keyboards. So usually we have the key step and the ASQ1 set up just so that if people touch something, like this one's not doing it. Oh no, it is. It's just not turned up.
Okay, so you got a submix here, right?
That's the Qubit surface.
That's lovely.
Tinkling away. So yeah, we tend to have a few things set up, but for the most part, a lot of the kind of patches stay in until the point where we realise that we've got like 15 semi-deconstructed patches all trying to work at the same time. So we go, right, let's take everything out.
Do you sync your clocks?
Sometimes.
Okay. God, living dangerously, so you get...
Yeah. Pams does all the hard work.
I mean, I can't think of many systems that don't have a PAMS in them.
Yeah.
They seem to be the kind of the brain.
People try and poach our display PAMs when they've been out of stock and unavailable for a while, and it's the one module that we've said like we can't live without it. We're just going to have to wait.
And what's this in the window?
This was based off of. I got sent quite a lot of videos from friends of where they were really fascinated by the whole concept of biofeedback music and things. So we set up a little plant music system. So it feeds off of the plants in the window. It's the instruction linked to a qubit chord, which is just running in this kind of self-internally quantized mode. So it sounds quite pretty. And then through a little bit of a Pico DSP to give it some delay and a little bit of kind of texture.
So on this side you've got sort of more traditional desktop and sort of smaller things. Nice to see Dreadbox fully represented.
Of course, yeah. So this has always been the kind of, I guess, kind of like desktop synth side of the room. We rebuilt all of this with all the caging in lockdown. Opted for some fake plants because it gets quite cold in here in the winter. And yeah, so this is where we kind of house most of the desktop synths, drum machines and effects. We are continually running out of space. Nice
to see the PWM there, and an Op6, which can you still get those? Is there still stock?
We've still got a few. Okay. If anyone wants
Top tip. Top tip. So yeah, I can imagine you don't really want to be watering plants above that, do you? So
no.
Yeah, I can understand why you wouldn't go for real. Yeah. So how much of this is? Do you do a lot of mail order as well, or is it all walk-in stuff?
It's about, so we had obviously over lockdown, I think a lot of people got into synths, so that kind of knocked the balance. It was, I think before then, maybe about 50-50, but we're sending stuff all over the world on a daily basis, which is
fantastic.
Which feels pretty incredible to be at that point now.
So one of the questions I really wanted to ask is, what's flying? What are the things that people are really after at the moment?
I think from a lot of what we've seen, people really like the more what's the word? Like conceptual effects, things like the Qubit Nautilus. They went straight away. Data benders, auroras, all the kind of like Qubit line of bit things.
So interesting, kind of digital, quite a lot of digital though.
A lot of digital stuff, yeah. And also I think with the kind of, unfortunately, the chip shortage that's going on, I think what we're seeing of is a lot of the way that we deal with orders now is working with a lot of pre-orders, whereas before we'd have something in, we'd get it out on demo, it would, you know, be around for ages, people would pop in and try it out, whereas I think now a lot of people are like, well, I need to get one before it sells out, because once they sell out then they're going to be gone for 6 months or a year.
Got to get it in before the Sonicstate review, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then the Sonicstate review comes out and then everyone goes for the second batch.
Right.
But yeah, we're seeing lots of those bits, lots of kind of little things. The little Novation circuits have been really popular. They're actually super underrated little sampler, though. It's one of my personal favourites.
Well, the new one, of course, allows you to put a lot of sample time. I mean, you can almost run stems in it. It's quite, I did a couple of demos where I was like, well, I'll take my stems and just trigger them.
Yeah, it's a good,
kind of works.
Good fun thing to play with. It tends to be my go-to for if I've got 5 minutes in the morning and just want to make a little beat. It's nice to have the Electron stuff back in as well. We were all out of Electron for quite a while, but we kind of jumped back in when the Syntax came out. And we were like, right, let's get them back in the house.
A filter bank.
That is, the Sherman filter bank couldn't be without it. It was one of the first when we kind of opened the shop, it was one of the things that Marco, the owner, was very insistent
Very
about.
Bristol,
we need
Sherman,
to have a filter bank.
Because I remember when, you know, in the 90s, later 90s, Sherman, the filter bank was just not necessarily even filtering. The distortion was used on so many records.
Oh, yeah. That's what it's kind of there for me anyway. Just being able to rag it with all the kind of AM and FM stuff.
Oh, I didn't know they still made it. I'm really pleased to see it. Mine was the one with the sloped.
So this is the Filter Bank 2, which is a compact version. And as far as I remember, it's exactly the same design, but it's just surface mount instead of through hole.
Yeah. Oh no. So, good. Herman Gillis, lovely bloke as well. So
good man.
So okay, well, there's more to this. I mean, the thing about a lot of these places is there's like you say, there's a community hub kind of going on. So what else is in the building?
So when we kind of took over the building, the plan was to always have kind of a little something for everyone in here, so it wasn't just kind of synths and things. So now we've got like I mentioned earlier, the 1020 radio studio is in the back, and they're kind of broadcasting pretty much every day of the week. We've got DJs popping in and out, which is really nice. Downstairs in the basement we have Damaru Cases. We've got Aiden's workshop down there, and then upstairs on the top floor there is Beat Boop Electronics. So Jack builds his own modules there and does kind of few repairs every now and again on
nice
synths and bits.
Can we have a look round?
Yeah, of course. Let's take you through. So we go through this way. I'll show you 1020 first, because that's I don't think anyone's in at the moment, but I have opened up. So
this is proper radio.
So this is the station we do our show on. I've also got 2 other shows on here, as well as a few of the other staff here.
Is it like proper urban radio? I suppose it's legit, isn't it? So you're not driving around with a transmitter in the van anymore?
No, it's all internet. It's 1020.live. It's all up on there. All fully legit. No climbing up blocks of flats and installing telephone masts anymore. As fun as that does sound.
So what do we got in here? It's basically voice and music based. So you just transmit DJs and performances.
Yeah, so there's been a few live sets. There's quite a few kind of grime and drill shows where they'll have like 10 MCs squeezed in here, all vying for the mic, which is always good fun. But yeah, it's mostly DJs, and bits and bobs.
Interesting. You're using the Rode Procasters, yeah. We use those as well.
Yeah. So I think Sean, who runs 1020, took lockdown as an opportunity to be like, okay, we don't have to have people in every day now. We can maybe kind of actually spend a little bit of time doing some refurb stuff. So they've done a bit of upgrading in here, but.
Nice. Well, that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask, because Bristol's always been, or for a long time has been, about a real sort of underground, urban, drum and bass kind of culture, musically, you know, right back from Smith and Mighty and of the Wild Bunch up to Massive Attack. How does that work in the kind of modular scene? Are you finding that there's a lot of crossover there?
I think what we're seeing, and I think what Bristol's always been really good at, is having kind of like integration and kind of crossover between scenes. So, you know, a lot of that, the kind of stuff in the 90s where you had the crossover between like punk and dub and jazz and you know, that kind of very specific, quite murky, bubbly, echoey sort of sound is still kind of, to an extent, that's still that spirit of a kind of collaboration is still going. So we're seeing a lot of, you know, modular artists will crop up performing in bands, or you'll have artists who will kind of go and do a few different things.
I can imagine with the sort of with the tradition of dub and weird processing and kind of unusual signal paths that has been kind of pioneered for years, often using a gear that wasn't really designed for that. I can imagine there's room for a live modular processor in a lot of that stuff as well.
Yeah, and I think as we're seeing, especially now, kind of things are opening up, we're starting to see a lot more of that kind of the more experimental end of post-punk in Bristol, and there's been some really good bands come out of that. Dame Frissor, I know Sam uses like loads of modular stuff live for all their synth stuff, and it sounds amazing.
Yeah, wow.
So, oh, studio's looking good.
I run Damaru Cases, make Eurorack cases.
Wow, you've got like endless. Okay, so this
Endless
is all the
bits
stock.
and bobs, yeah. Half-made cases. So this is a little half-made one.
Oh, nice! And you just the racking's just got to go in there.
Yeah, the expensive aluminium racking goes inside.
That must be tough at the moment. Aluminium, I'd imagine, it's very energy inefficient to make. So it must be.
Yeah, pretty much. The price of aluminium, which is essentially what these cases are made of, has gone up 30% every 6 months for the past 2 years.
Oh, ouch!
And we've absorbed the cost because it's, you know.
So what are you're making? It looks like a lot of these sort of compact and sort of handy size cases. You do bigger stuff as well.
So this is the 84 7U. These are all half made in construction. The rails are behind you. I've got a couple of orders for 12U 104. So they're quite hefty. They're right on the edge of portability.
Right.
Quite a few 10Us as well, which is people want that 1U rack in there somewhere hidden around.
Yeah, well, I mean is it IntelliGel and Make Noise do those, don't they?
They do, yeah. Pulp Logic kind of developed it to start with, but that kind of IntelliGel have nailed the market.
Yeah.
With their size.
Nice. And where are most of these going? Are these going out to performers or just people who like?
I've got several.
You know, modular luggage is a speciality area of. I would like to say it's almost like a kind of it's a niche interest, but one that people are very passionate about, I'd imagine.
For sure, yeah. There's several people that have got cases that I suppose are quite well known. I don't know them that well. Yeah, and they've gone all over the world. They've gone all over North America, South America, Asia. Yeah,
and you just sell direct here, or do you supply?
I do, yeah. I work with Marco. Marco's like, the relationship I have with him is like indispensable.
He's the founder of this.
Yeah, he runs the place, and when I kind of showed Ben the cases, he was immediately supportive and was like, yeah, we really want to sell your cases. You want to do it exclusively. Want to work with you.
Oh, nice.
So they've treated me really well at Machine and Bristonica. Hopefully, again, when that gets up next year.
Yeah, well, that's the big show in Bristol that was really, really good. Again, nice to see some power tools in the go. So these are for cutting aluminium,
essentially, right? Yeah, you spend an absolute fortune on things that go up and down accurately, perfectly every single time. But that's all it does. It goes up and down and cuts aluminium, and, you know, there's $3,000 for you.
Whoa. Okay.
And then the rest of it is, you know,
bench drills,
riveting.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's all riveting together.
So how do you colour them? Do you buy them in black, or do you do other?
I get them. They come in. They are expensively anodized in anodized silver, and then I spray over that with black.
Right.
Then they get sent off to be powder coated in black.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they originally come in silver, but everyone wants like the black cases, so that's all I make now.
Right, okay, interesting.
And they do them pretty much in every U and HP you can imagine, doing some little...
Cute.
And there's little hole for the power supply, working with B-Boop, he's done a little power supply that goes in it, so then this will be kind of a bulletproof, portable, little powered case, USB powered.
Nice.
So these are quite popular. These are quite nice, you know, with the kind of 2U, 3U modules.
Do you think there's a kind of a trend? Maybe Ben, you'll know about this as well. Is there a trend about people kind of making smaller systems, you finding there are more people want smaller stuff?
It's a constant discussion about power needs, and that's where we get the kind of indication of what people want. So people who have a traditional, let's say, larger analog system, their power needs are very small. But then you start getting these smaller and smaller modules, you get squashed in, they're digital. So you can tell when somebody wants a small case and the power supply is the same as a large case, you know that they're going like multiple, yeah, we want 25 headers in a tiny case.
Right.
So,
yeah. Like lots of tip-top, one U.
Yeah.
I think it's seeing as well a lot of, as Eurorack has developed away from just the traditional, like, I'm going to build a big analog synth, and we've got more bespoke, more kind of specific modules. I think it's a lot easier for people to sit down and go, right, I just want a weird processing case. I'm going to get an in-out granular processor, some weird effects and some random modulation, and it's going to be 50 HP, and I'm going to take it to gigs with me, or I'm going to take it to the studio. And
Right.
Being able to build, I know quite a lot of people now who are working with like maybe 3 or 4 just like 3U 60 HP systems that all have very bespoke, very kind of precision design idea behind it, rather than having the one big wall of modular, which we do.
Lots of work visiting Modular Grid, no doubt. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Aidan, thank you so much.
You're
Where
very
do
welcome.
where do people get your stuff and find out about you?
Well, you can come to Elevator Sound. I have a website that's absolutely terrible. It's in the process of being redone. Just building a photograph studio next door. That's Damaru Cases. But yeah, they're sell direct only with Elevator Sound.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Up we go. So yeah, we're going to head upstairs and go see Jack in his workshop. Aside for the rest of the building, this is where the office is.
It's classic
the kitchen.
skinny Victorian building vibe.
Yeah, it's I did once when this was Idle Hands. We got a 64 channel desk up these stairs for the person who was living up here. It took us about half an hour. All right, here we go, and we go through to the Beat Boot workshop.
Hello.
Oh, wow.
Hey Jack, so
Hi there.
Beat Boop.
Welcome to the workshop. It's looking a lot tidier than it normally would.
Did you tidy up just for us?
I have, yeah. I didn't quite have the Hoover or the marigolds out, but that was the next stage. So, with a workshop, a good sign is mess, because if you see a tidy workshop, you know there's nothing going on here.
I would agree.
So that's my excuse anyway.
A fine philosophy.
Yeah. This is my workshop. I've been here about 2.5 years, and thankfully Ben and Marco invited me to have the workshop here, and since then I started off doing repairs, and now I've got a range of Eurorack modules. So yeah, it's all been going quite well.
Oh right, okay. So what special do you specialise in? Any specific repairs?
Yeah, well, repair-wise, I'm just focusing on Eurorack now and Roland stuff, vintage Roland stuff. Mainly because Eurorack industry is so supportive, it's possible to do the repairs, and also with the vintage Roland stuff, all the schematics are there, and I can actually work on the stuff. So
Every workshop I've ever been in always seems to have a quad amplifier.
Oh, it has to be, yeah. That was my stepdad's. He was going to sell it, and I stepped in very quickly and stopped that from happening. It's a beautiful bit of British engineering. I love the stuff where it still comes with the schematics.
Soft, isn't it? It's got a soft, transient sort of squidgy sound, but it's is it the sound of BBC monitors? Something like that, isn't it?
Funny you talk about BBC stuff. So there's more than just one little bit of BBC gear here. A guy who's just recently taken over an old BBC transmission station asked me to modify an old unit from it, which is actually up there. And we've installed a load of LEDs to make it, it's a bit, but to make it look like it's doing something. So lots of flashing LEDs, which is kind of nice. I love the old analog stuff. I'm really interested in tape specifically.
All right.
And I'm working on some tape loopers for Eurorack. There's one in here. Which is going to be basically a looper with sound on sound, and it's even got a mechanism for loading and unloading the tape.
How interesting.
Yeah. We're going to do it with tape cassettes to begin with, and then later on we're hoping to use 1/4-inch tape and actually make a modular Eurorack delay.
Wow. Okay. God, I imagine shielding would be a bit of a nightmare for that.
It is, but that's the dark arts of tape. You just have to work with it. You know, everything's non-linear, everything's wonky, and you just got to accept it and love it. Yeah.
So what is that? Most of the modules. What other modules are you making?
So a lot of the other stuff. This is a bit of a. It's literally a bit of a case at the moment because I've brought it back from Barcelona. But along the bottom here, we've got a lot of the stuff we do. Basic utilities. We've got malts, envelope followers, mixers, some contact mic stuff. This is what I started out with 2 years ago. It's called the tape sampler. It's a lo-fi analog sampler based around a chip out of a greetings card.
Oh, nice. It's lo-fi. It
is so lo-fi. It's meant for happy birthday cards and stuff like that. And then we just recently re-released this VCA Vactral, which is a active kind of Vactral circuit with different frequency cutoffs. Mixer again, some dividers. There's other stuff. This is coming out soon. V2 of LPG, and we're also doing a couple of reissues of the discontinued mutable legacy stuff.
Okay, because you could open source the DSP code and yeah.
Absolutely, nice. Yeah, it makes sense to kind of do it. So it helps support the business, but ultimately what I want to be doing is working on tape and stuff that doesn't make money.
So I noticed you go for the, this is a kind of, it's relatively new thing, using the PCB prints for the front panels. I think it's a really genius idea. It seems, does it to make it manufacture a lot easier and you can design more easily? Yeah,
absolutely. So with this kind of stuff, it makes it possible for small manufacturers to actually do batches, which is amazing. And I got shown how to do this by, I want to big him up, a guy called Free Tom Modular, who did a guide online about how to do these. So if anyone else is interested, check that out.
You use special pens or inks, don't you, and then dip them? Is that the way that they work?
No, we're actually designing these like a PCB, but it's the way you go about designing them. So we send off for these panels like a PCB.
Ah, right, yeah. And they just make them.
Yeah, absolutely.
God, this must be funny, isn't it? If you've been working in the PCB business for years and you're getting this weird stuff this circuit doesn't make any sense.
I think sometimes, they get annoyed with my regular circuits, let alone when I do this. So yeah, but thanks for dropping by to the workshop. And if you're interested in checking out any of my stuff, head over to the Elevator website where they thankfully stock and support everything I do.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Here we go.
So we've been to the top. That's what I would call, in Victorian terms, that would be a garret, wouldn't it? You expect to see a gentleman up there with one of those floppy bed hats and a candle.
Yeah, I mean this building has been around since the 1800s. We're not allowed to do anything with the windows because they were designed by a kind of pretty important Bristol architect whose name I forget now, who also designed the Carriageworks building up the road.
Right.
All right, back down into the shop.
So Ben, I mean, it's great that there seems to be a real kind of hub of activity here, but it's not just inside, because you do Machina Brystronica, which is quite a big event in Bristol as well, right?
Yeah, so I think a lot of what we've always tried to do is be a bit more than just the shop and do community events, workshops, and provide spaces for kind of all the synth weirdos to come and get together. Machina Brystronica was the biggest version of that. So it was a one-day synth festival, kind of styled a bit on Superbooth, but with a little Bristol twist. And it was all full day of live sets, workshops, stalls, educational panels. We had loads of people come over. We had the second one penciled in for 2020, and then we had to pull it 5 days before it happened.
Ouch. Are you going to do another one? Is there plans for more?
Yes. So next one should be October 2023. We were going to do one this year, but then the venue we had booked caught fire.
That's poor luck.
Yeah, but there's been that, and then on a much smaller scale, we do kind of modular workshops here in the shop. We also run a night called Escher, which is for local producers in Bristol to kind of get together down at Strange Brew in town, and they submit tunes online. We've got a really active kind of Discord community, and it's just a chance for people to kind of get away from their bedrooms, get out and meet other people, and listen to their stuff back on a proper big sound system.
Yeah, because that's an eye-opener, isn't it?
Yeah, and often
do you get a lot of people leaving weeping, going, "Oh, I didn't realise my mix was so bad"?
We get a lot of people going, less bass. Or you can tell the tunes where someone's mixed it on headphones because it's just all red, all bass waveforms. So you kind of have to notch the subs down a little.
Right.
But it's been great, and we've had so much good stuff from it. We've done charity compilations. There's been labels started, kind of production kind of collaborations have started at Escher. We used to do it in the shop, but it just got too big.
I can imagine you've only got limited space here.
Too Larry, and obviously, you know, there's only so many times that you can move cans away from synths before it starts going, okay, maybe we need to just do this in a venue space. So
where is what's the best way for people to keep up to date with what Elevator's got going on?
So we do a newsletter which goes out every Monday night, which you can just sign up for at the bottom of our website on the homepage, and that will have all the information about events that we're up to, what's coming into stock that week, new kit that's been announced from the companies we work with, and Instagram really is the other main one. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I will, through the magic of interwebs, I will put that along here somewhere.
Thank you very much.
Ben, thanks ever so much.
No worries. Cool. Cheers, Nick. Thanks for coming by.